Thankfully, when it comes to video games, I have not had many poor experiences. I typically, due to the price, don't spend as much money on them if I don't like the game. I usually look really detailed into what they are and what's in it for me. So when it comes to video games, I'm not usually one to run out and buy something that I'm not completely 100% wholehearted into. Because $70 a game nowadays, you have to really love it or you're going to be disappointed. So when it comes to video games, every video game I've played for the most part has been one that I've really enjoyed. However, there are a couple of exceptions, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about those and then what I would do to personally fix them or patch them in a way that would make it a little bit more breathable for me, which might be a little bit controversial because my game style is typically a little bit different than other people's, which is understandable. So that's why it's gonna be a little bit difficult to talk about and kind of have fixes that would be good for everyone. The first video game I want to talk about is one that, well, I guess I should take us back to my first days of owning an Xbox. It was Christmas morning. All my friends had gotten an Xbox, and I was kind of late to the party. So I decided that it would be that Christmas that would be the big gift that year. With that, I didn't know what Xbox Santa was going to bring me, but I did ultimately get an Xbox One that came with two games. It was Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six Siege. Assassin's Creed was a good, fine game. I like single-player games, so that's typically why I'm okay with that. But as far as Rainbow Six Siege went, it was not a game that I initially was very into. I knew my friends were, so that's something that kind of kept me from playing it a bit. Like I said, I was into the single player, and at the time we kind of fell into the wave of Fortnite, so it wasn't a huge thing that we needed to play right away. But I knew I had it there for free, like included with the Xbox, so it wasn't one that I was like wanting to get into very quickly. Rainbow Six Siege, after a little while, my friends wanted to get really into it, and I knew that a few of mine were extremely competitive, which made it a little bit harder for me as someone who isn't exactly a competitive gamer, someone who's more interested in a story, to look at everything like that. First-person shooters were never really my strong suit, and unfortunately that was a game that they really wanted to get into. Sure enough, when we did get into it, I fell way behind. I felt like I was disappointing everyone. I was not nearly as good as they were. They were all playing ranked. It was very difficult for me to keep up. And that's not to say that it wasn't an enjoyable experience. I was at least with my friends. But for me personally, Rainbow Six Siege was hard to get into. I was never one that was really loving to play it. And honestly, to be quite transparent with you, I haven't played it in a while, but it was a game that was hard for me to get into, and I never really understood the appeal of playing it very seriously and very hardcore. And so this might not be a feature that everyone would be into, but I would really love like a less stressful version, maybe. One that maybe is a little more inclusive to the beginner players. And I don't know if they've had this added, since I've played it. Like I said, it's been a little bit since I played it, but something that was just a little bit more for the people that were playing for more for fun rather than playing for ranked. And they might have had this added, but I think this is a feature that maybe they should focus a little bit more on, because I know that as far as Rainbow Six Siege goes, I think it often gets a bad rap because of that. There's a lot of people that are very into it, and I know that this is a game that I believe is taken up with esports and everything. So it's a little bit harder to play if you're just trying to have fun, which for me, that's what a video game's all about. Some of my favorite games, though, are definitely not first-person shooters. They're more of like these single-player, story-driven ones, like think Firewatch, think, even Far Cry is a little bit of a first-person shooter, but that's a little more single-player. So that's stuff that I really enjoy. But a feature that I would really like to have is a little bit of an easier mode, as someone who's not exactly a competitive gamer, which is probably not for everyone. Now, to conclude, I don't think necessarily this is a bad game, and I understand the appeal to people. It just wasn't for me, and I think that's kind of the beauty of video games, is that there is something for everyone. And so why spend your time not enjoying something when you can go out and find something new that you would enjoy? Which can be a little bit of a narrow-minded perspective if you stick to the same games. But if you really deep dive into everything, there's a lot more games out there for everyone. So it was something that I didn't stick with. You know, I know that it was fun to be very serious about it and play through. And I know a lot of people like first-person shooters, like I said. It just was not for me. It was a little too stressful, a little too real, a little too serious. And I think that that was what made it a little bit harder for me to play. I don't think it was a bad game. I just think that given the opportunity, if I were able to rework it, I would maybe make it a little bit easier for the friends that aren't too into the game to play it. Maybe we can have a whole lobby of just the people that are semi-into it because their friends are into it. That would be a fun idea. And I know that's controversial and kind of narrow-minded of me, but I think that that might be a way that I would maybe get back into Rainbow Six. But like I said, it was not a game that I was really particularly into, and I don't like to pay $70 for a game that, you know, I'm not going to like. So at least it was included, but it's not one that I would probably pick up again, even if my friends really wanted to get into it. I just think there's so much out there that we could play, and that's kind of the thing with a friend group that is all into video games. You know, you always have something for everyone. So in conclusion, I think that that's probably just what I would do, but like I said, it's not something necessary, and I understand that the appeal is already there, and it's definitely a popular game, so it's not a huge deal.